Far-Flung Tin Can, we are bridging the gap between two diverse worlds, the Christian home and the mission field, through missions awareness, missions engagement, and worship in everything. We're traveling the world to the most remote places on the planet to find those who have laid down everything to say yes to God. And whoever said missions can't be fun? God is calling. Will you take the call?
The drive out to the church in the village started like so many wonderful adventures really well, and like right in the middle towards the end of this journey, the bottom falls out of the whole trip.
And we got turned around a couple times, but we always found our way back. But it felt like we were going to be driving for days and days.
Brian's hat.
Yeah. So we were driving through this one narrow road, and there's all this brush. We're in the middle of a jungle, right? So there's all this, limbs hanging over, and there's no 18-wheelers that drive these roads to clear off all the branches.
I have no clue. We can't see anything anymore except for 30 feet in front of us.
Now, being raised in Middle Tennessee, I was accustomed to riding in the back of trucks. It's no big deal. Riding in the back of a truck in a jungle it's threatening to your life. Like you may not survive this. Specifically the gauntlets that we go through.
Everybody.
Oh, we're driving through a thicket.
Why are we going so much faster in the gauntlet?
As crazy as it was being destroyed in the gauntlet of branches in this pickup truck.
We just drove about 7 hours, I think 6.5 hours, 4 hours on paved roads, and then 2.5 on anything but paved roads through the mountains. I mean, just right at the side of the mountain. We got to be inside.
It was long.
It was long. I
Didn't think it's gonna end.
I thought I was gonna be I thought we were gonna be driving for the rest of my life. Honestly, I was like, okay, here's what I'm with. No kids, no marriage.
Yeah.
For me, just gonna drive forever on these roads.
The church dedication was amazing. On Sunday morning, we ride up there Saturday night, all through the night, it felt like, and then we wake up in the morning and just see like this amazing sunrise over this valley, and so we go to the top of this hill, and there's this church sitting here with a steeple and a cross, and it was really awesome to see that. One, just knowing how far we traveled, and to see that in the middle of nowhere, no sign of civilization. Like you couldn't see any cutouts in the road, you couldn't see anything like that. It was just like wilderness. And then to know that there is a church planted to celebrate Jesus Christ and to worship Jesus Christ in the midst of just vast wilderness, and to see firsthand the power of the gospel and the dedication of those who went forth.
This church here will become a lighthouse for this entire region. So I looked 10 years ahead. There'll probably be thousands of people that'll come to Christ because of this simple church plant here. And so that's what it's all about. That's what keeps me ticking. 63 and still ticking.
Today we're going to dedicate a church that's many hours away from any civilization. Takes several hours by car on the highway, and then a couple hours on really rough dirt roads to get here. And this church was built hauling one bag of cement at a time, and it costs as much to haul it here as it did to buy the actual bag of cement. And so we're in a very remote area, and today there's going to be some officials from the local area, from the local church denomination, and we're going to dedicate this to the Lord. It'll involve singing of songs, it'll involve different people speaking, some local singing groups. It's a big moment for these people. It means a lot. They've waited many, many years for this church, and in fact we've heard that they prayed for the church for a long, long time. The pastor that was here has been here 8 years dedicating his life, moved from another place just so he could establish a Christian community. And this will be the first of many churches in this area. It doesn't have really a lot of churches around, so we're really believing that this will be a beginning point and the light of the gospel spread out from here. So it's a big day for this village, a big day for the Church of Jesus Christ.
The village mostly, after many family coming to the Lord, the changing is environment of the village is kind of changed, not the same anymore. Worshiping God, bringing God into your village is changed. Like the spirit is kind of let go of the village and they go somewhere else. I don't know. I just felt that way.
It was a non-stop, high-paced trip. We were everywhere. I feel like there's really not much of Thailand we didn't see. As soon as we hit the ground, it was just super high-paced. We were always in the van, up early. We gotta go here, we gotta go there, because the ministry is so broad.
Buzz. I'm gonna get you. Coming.
Please don't do anything that
I had to catch Buzz at one point. We were on a river, and again, they said it was a 15-minute river raft, and it was like a 45-minute river raft. Buzz was, he was dying, the batteries were dying, so he was about to land, so we had to land him on the raft, and I wanted to catch him. I'm like, all right, Buzz, I got you. Nothing's gonna happen to you. You just come into my arms, and I'll make sure you're good and safe.
How much battery you got left? 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Ready, Clark? Come here.
You got one chance at it, man. Once you get it, don't let go of it.
Don't let go of it. You ready? Hold on. This is like speed. Get it. Wait.
So Kyle would fly Buzz and just go up and then back and then just do this whole kind of motion here, and the guides are like freaking out. They're just like ducking and dodging, like trying not to get hit by Buzz, like it was like Kyle wasn't actually flying it, like it had a mind of its own. And so eventually, like, we get match pace and Clark's getting pumped. I mean, he's clapping. He's like, let's go, let's do this. I got you, Buzz. Like, come on, Buzz.
Ready? I'll figure out. I'm so scared. Come here. Okay, all right, hold on. Let me go forward because we're moving forward. And let it just kind of catch in. Ready? Here we go. This is it, Clark. Okay.
This whole time, I'm just like crouched down, like getting this footage of Clark trying to grab Buzz. And so eventually it matches up. We got it, and then Clark just goes in 2 hands.
Just grab. You just don't have to grab it.
Grab it! I got it. Ow! I hurt my finger. Wait, hold on. Just keep hold of it. Are you all right? Yeah.
I'm like,
some cuts.
Yeah.
Oh. Let me see.
We got him.
We did it!
For you, Buzz.
Hold on. You are now initiated into the Far-Flung family. Through your blood sacrifice, you are now a part of our family.
I'm excited.
Yeah? What are you excited about?
I'm more excited to go back home.
You go back home?
Yeah, to see my baby girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what you're excited about?
Yeah.
How many hours till that takes place?
That's gonna be, we'll probably be back home, like, I'll probably see her probably at 6.
Probably
I gotta take everybody back home, and so. But I'm happy to be with y'all today. And,
We're in a crisis. Joyce has rolled away somewhere. Did you roll her somewhere?
so this is Thailand right here, guys.
It's in my ear. It was in my ear. That was such a weird.
Give him a wet temple. Boom. We can take the hat picture.
What is happening? Oh yeah. Does it fit over the bun? Did it get you on the lip?
Like right my chin, face area.
They're yoked up. Where one goes, the other one's got to go. Yeah. So all you single people out there, be careful who you connect yourself with. They may take you down the path you don't
We'll end up in Thailand at the elephant camp.
Yeah. Hey. I love how I don't understand any of this, but at the bottom it says, please respect this warning.
So we're gonna go ride on elephants.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't feel stable. Oh, I'm just, okay.
Hey, Ryan.
You're just going to have to go back down by the speaking tongues.
Ether, how was the meal?
My lips are on fire, my nose is running, so pretty good.
My lips are normal, nose is fine, my tummy is full, and my heart is warm.
Clark, for 9 days, has only ate rice. He starts with the main dish, white rice, with a side scoop of rice.
That's not true.
A couple carrots one day, changed it up. Huh? Yeah, it was one day, yeah. Literally.
It's not true, see?
He asked one person if the salt had spice. They're like, do you want salt? He's like, no, I can't take spice.
Not true.
And he was like, he said, listen, my lips are very delicate. I use them. This is where I make my money. I got to take care of it. Yeah. How am I going to give the smolder when my lips are inflamed in heat?
That's not true. False. False.
The classic line is there anything that doesn't have spice in it?
I've said that once.
Bible school is what we believe is the core vision that God has given to us. When he spoke to me to come here, he said we'd be here to train up national Christian leaders to preach the gospel in the power of the Spirit. So from day one, our goal was to have a Bible training. We started with 90-day sessions, 3-month sessions, and that evolved into 6-month, went to 9-month. We finally began the 2-year program. And we look at it as the foundation of our ministry. All of my staff, we have around 70 staff, all of our staff have come through our 2-year Bible school. Anytime we have a new hire, the first thing they do is start with the Bible school. They will study in the mornings, work in the afternoon.
We got to spend a lot of time with Charlie, and he's bigger than life. His personality is that way. The little bit that we got to spend with Kathy, she has this deep nature that just comes across. As she was leading in our prayer service, as she sat and shared the stories, her story, you can tell that she has this rooted nature that trusts God. She's really the bedrock in some of those ways, because Charlie said the prayer, Wednesday morning prayer that their team comes together for, has been pivotal in the launching and the growth that their ministry has experienced in the last 10 or 15 years. And Kathy is the engine behind that prayer. Charlie will say multiple times he gets way too much credit. That Charlie is the face that a lot of people know. Kathy is the prayer. Heaven knows the prayers of Kathy.
We take up his business, we take his cross, he takes ours. And Jesus, in his teachings, that he taught and everything, whenever you do my work for me, I take care of you. And that's what he does. He goes before us. So many things happen since we started prayer. I consider it a ministry. I consider praying, to me, it's a ministry. Because God, I'm a part of God's family. And I know he's taught me how to pray. And so why should I just pray for 2 people? By the way, you can go into the spiritual realm is so alive and so real. You can lay hands on people right here in your prayer closet. Right here, you don't have to be where they're at. It's a supernatural, it's a spiritual realm. You can do things just like that. So he says, you don't have to pray for two. You can, why not pray for the Christians all over the world? When you pray the word over them, you can do the same thing and do a multitude.
I was really challenged by these people who have lived, maybe some of them still live, in a real village environment. But in prayer, they had this real global perspective. The very last thing these people prayed for were their own needs. And they went to prayer for their friends in other nations who are under siege or under attack. Charlie even shares how some of them have to contact him through an alias for fear of harm. And they don't pray for God, please rescue them out of that. They're not saying, oh, we are hoping to try to send in the SEAL Team 6 and get them out of this place. God graced them with the strength. I mean, they have this global perspective. And I think that's Charlie. He's kind of exposed that there's so much more to the world. And they prayed for our nation and other nations, that the gospel would be taken to the corners of the earth, and they're praying for people to answer the call. It's one of the things he said. He said, I don't think that God is choosing to use less people. I don't think the call is any less now than it's ever been. So we need to pray that people will answer the call. And this group of maybe 100 volunteers and staff are in there praying that other people will answer the call. And the last thing they pray for is their own needs. And Charlie gives the honor to everything God's done in their organization. Like a bedrock of that is morning prayer. He didn't say, oh, the school, or oh, this thing that I've done, or the coffee, or all these beautiful things that he has. He could put a million things on display because they have their hand, it seems like, in everything. But it's like morning prayers are bedrock.
So many times it feels like these connections and these moments are very serendipitous, just like a random, wow, that worked out. And then later on, puzzle pieces start coming together. Similar to, we chose Celia, and then it turns out like we'd been in service together. We'd had her in our promo videos in the background. We didn't even know it for 2 years. I love how God like sets these up, and we go based off of what we feel to be a moment of peace or just things clarity, and without hard facts of connections, and then he shows those connections later. Charlie started a coffee company to help support the missions work he was doing. Whereas I, around the same time, started a coffee shop to help support the mission work I was doing. Charlie and I are both from Ohio. You know, Joyce has had this drive to do missions trips for the last 10 years or so, 20 years. So many things have been spoken over her life that she would go on short-term trips and not to be afraid because you're going to be with young people, and not knowing that Far-Flung would be something that comes together. Joyce started coming to our church when I was born, and we've had this relationship our whole life and didn't know that it was going to lead up to her being a part of this organization. Charlie flew to Thailand to move there on December 31st, 1986, the night I was born. And then we get there and we find out, I'm sitting there in the car with him and I'm asking him about how'd you get saved and how'd you grow up, and I'm just asking him everything about his life, and we're going in chronological order. And then Charlie is talking about his internship that he did 6 months before he moved there. And he's telling me a story from the internship. He's talking about this well that's being dug, and that these guys were 300 feet in the ground because the missionary that he was doing his internship believed that there was water in the ground of their ministry campus, and that they just kept digging the well. And I'm sitting here going, I know this story. One of our Far-Flung members just wrote a book last month, and he wrote a book called Can You Dig It? And I look at him and I say, who did you do your internship with? And he said, Jim and Marion Zirkle. And I think my face just turned white. It turns out that 6 months before he moves there, 6 months before I was born, Charlie went to Guatemala and interned under my father-in-law and his father and the ministry that they have in Guatemala. If you've seen the Together Project, and we did that whole film there at the orphanage and the worship night and all that, everything that was happening there, that ministry campus is where Charlie got his training 30 years ago. And that's where I met Marion, and that's where I proposed to her, is on that campus. About 20 years ago, a little less than 20 years ago, Marion's dad and grandfather were on a missions trip and in Guatemala, and their plane crashed. And so I never did get to meet Marion's dad or grandfather, or see them in action doing ministry, doing missions work.
So the internship that we did that year would have been 1986. We were down in Guatemala probably in the month of April of 1986. And we went down there, and that was the first time I got to see a missions compound, what something was, how they did some things, and I think it impacted me in a great way because Brother Zirkel's words stuck with me. I remember one of the things he told us, he says, if you're going to be a resident missionary and affect a nation, then within 10 years, if you don't have land yet, something's the matter, because if you're really going to impact a nation, you got to have a base, And so we were over here, and them words came back to me so many times at about 5 years and 6 years and 7. I got up to 9 years, and I said, I didn't see land anywhere in sight. And I'm thinking, oh man, Brother Zirkel's, his words are coming back to me,
To be on a trip in Thailand, documenting a missionary that I've never met before. To be sitting in the car, hearing stories about my father-in-law who I've never met, and how he was in ministry. And to hear Charlie talk about things that he learned from my wife's family and how it affected how he's done ministry the last 30 years was a mind-blowing moment. To think that God was setting this all up, even our Together project. Like, Charlie's been a part of Far-Flung long before there was a Far-Flung. God's been setting this up for such a long time. It's just, I can't wrap my mind around how God is such just a good, he's a magician, really. Like, God is so good at sleight of hand, and he's got you looking over here, and in the meantime, he's like pulling a rabbit out over here. And it's just so crazy how he pulls all these things together. That is a big part of the story to me, is how if you will be obedient and listen to God's voice, he'll work out the details, and he's been working out the details. Charlie said yes 30 years ago. We said yes to doing this film a year ago. But the inner workings of this all coming together has been coming together for far longer than that. And it's just so crazy how to see how the people that you meet, it might lead up to something that you don't know. That's why it's so important to nurture relationships, because you don't know that person that you grew up with your entire life is going to be working in your organization later. You don't know that the skill sets that you're learning, maybe about coffee or maybe it's about film, you don't know where God's going to use that later on. God is continually working on all of our stories and pulling us together and weaving this intricate web of connections for His glory. You might be watching this and you might be on a feature film. I don't know. Maybe this is the first point. This is the first connecting piece to you being a part of the Far-Flung family. I don't know how God weaves all this together, but it all starts with these small little connections of us saying yes to what we feel like God's telling us to do. And we don't know where that leads. And there might be years of frustration where we don't know what this is leading to. I don't know why you've told me to be a translator and I don't know English. So I'm gonna just start listening to English and Thai sermons. I thought I was going to go to Hollywood and do film. Why are you giving me this desire to do film and then you tell me to do missions work? God has so many different things that he's working on that we don't see the big picture. But if we'll just say yes and follow him, it's the payoff in his magic trick is amazing. And you'll find yourself on the side of a mountain processing coffee on a cliff and go, how in the world did I get here? And you'll find yourself in the back of a truck looking out and just being like, God, why do I get to be here in this moment?
Far-Flung Tin Can is spreading the gospel and helping others in the most remote places on earth. Our work in Thailand is ongoing and you can be a part. Farflungtincan.com is a place to get plugged into missions. You can apply to join us on our monthly Far-Flung trips, or you can help send us to far-flung places by giving. Living Word International is producing amazing coffee that helps fund their orphanages. You can purchase this coffee at mythaicoffee.com.